There we go. So many to many. We did a one to many before, right? Where we have one movie has, or one movie. A movie has a rating. Ratings have many movies. Now let's do many to many. In the movie world, we have something called actors, right? Actors can be in a movie. There are many actors in one movie. There's also many movies have many actors, and actors can be in many movies. Orlando Bloom was in 6 movies that were in the Tolkien universe, as well as Pirates of the Caribbean. Martin Freeman was in The Hobbit and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I haven't seen much. Gotta see that.
Excuse me.
I have the collection of all the books, just all in one book. I haven't read it yet, though. Very funny.
So yeah, that's sitting on my shelf.
Yeah.
I really like Martin Freeman. I love him.
Slack just reminded me. You want to come to lunch with us? It's been an hour.
It's so funny.
Ask me again
all the way.
Pretty much. Yes. Okay. Slash
that was what got me. I was like, of course Martin Freeman's gonna say Wakanda. Of course it's gonna be Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Let me see if on Amazon if there's
Alright, so how do we set up that relationship? How do we make it so we don't have to store Orlando Bloom many times? We're only storing Orlando Bloom once, and that's it. Well, we're going to have an actors table, because remember, nouns. And we're going to have the details about the actors. So it's going to have an ID, name, birth year, stuff like that. So let's kind of populate that real fast. ID, name, and birthday. We can make this more, but at that point it's kind of like first name, last name, hair color. Like, I know. But the important part is the ID. Now we have a way to uniquely identify that row for Orlando Bloom. Now we know, we just established, that actors have a many-to-many relationship to movies. We represent this relationship by actually introducing a third table. This third table is called a join table. And inside of this table is actually 2 one-to-many relationships built in and combined. So this table only has 3 columns. It has its own ID. Now it has a foreign key to the actors table, so actor ID, and it has a foreign key to the movies table, so movie ID. So what do we call this table? Because it is a table type of system.
The reference table?
Yeah, it's called a joint table, but the table still needs a name. So sometimes you'll see a good default is it's actually called the movie actor table. You combine the 2 names of what it is. That's kind of a good last resort. That's not an option one. An option one is, since we're defining this relationship exists. This relationship should be something meaningful. If you're finding yourself naming things like actor movie table or stuff like that, you probably need to rethink your relationships. This relationship, it's what? It's casting, right? It's cast. It's the cast of the movies. So let's name it Cats. So now if I wanted to say, hey, Orlando Bloom was in Pirates of the Caribbean, Pirates of the Caribbean has an ID of 3. We'll say Orlando Bloom has an ID of 1. So inside of this casting table, it has an ID, an actor ID, and a movie ID. Orlando Bloom was in Pirates of the Caribbean. Orlando Bloom is also in Hobbit Movie 1. Orlando Bloom was also in Hobbit Movie 2. So now we have that relationships. Now how we query that out, you know the join statement that we have? We just now do that twice to get the actual information. How does that sound? That sound
Interesting visually.
yeah, but like the idea, how we feel with the idea.
Makes sense. Good.
Alright, so let's see it. Yeah. Is it going? Is it going? Is it going?
It's blinking.
Blinking is good. Now the question is am I still casting? Aha! I am. So I'm going to create the two tables. Create table actors, create table casts. And you see, whenever I create casts, I'm creating that relationship that casting has a ID itself. It has a movie ID, which is a foreign key to movies. And it has an actor ID, which is a foreign key to actor, which we're creating up here. Now, I actually want to change this because I don't want that to be null. You can't be cast in a movie that doesn't exist, right? Because that just doesn't make sense. That relationship depends, those foreign keys depend on that relationship to be there. So I'm going to take this, one over here at my terminal. Actor does not exist. Because that should be actors. So did it make the other one? Sweet, so it made the actors table. I want to create cast. So now our tables, we have actors, cast, movies, and ratings. That's what our ERD says, right? So now let's throw some actors in there. One little typo and all the example code's off, right? So now we want to update our casting table. So we want to define that relationship. We want to go, hey, we want to populate all movies that Orlando Bloom was a part of. Just to kind of refresh ourselves. Select star from movies. So he was in number 3 and number 8 and number 9. We'll just start off with those ones. So it's going to be insert, because we're inserting into cast value, actor ID and movie ID, values. The actor ID is 1. I'm trusting it's 1. I haven't actually looked at it. And the movie ID was what, 3?
3, 8, 9.
3, 8, 9, right? Okay, so there's 3, there's 8, and there's 9. So now if we do our select star from our cast table, hey, how about the mouse? We have that relationship. That's cool. But now, let's see what we can do. The question I have that I want to solve, and something very common is, given an actor ID, what movies are they a part of? You see that on a web page, right? I can go to Orlando Bloom's IMDb page and actually see that exact same thing, right? So, before we actually write our select statement, how would we do that? Let's kind of guess there. What are we looking for again? I'm sorry. Given an actor ID, what movies are they in?
So select movies from casts.
Actor
actor ID equal X, or equals 1.
So you starting with movies, and that's fine. There's a few different ways to solve this. So starting with movies, so select star for movies, select title for movies, join on cast, where cast.actorID equals 1. Yeah, right? So that's,
Two comma
Join, man, I forgot.
yeah, join. So that's one way to do that. You can also go, hey, select star from cast, where cast ID equals this, and join on the movies table and bring in the movie information. So there's many, once you have this relationship set up, you can use your join to kind of traverse and answer these little bit more complex questions. And that's really where the magic lies in the SQL database is, hey, here's some joins. Let's see how we can navigate our structure. Which is why the whole normalization and setting up these keys, super important. Good news, you'll get practice here. Better news, your senior developer should be doing this for you. So this feels hard if you're kind of like, because like a bad data model could kill an app. A great data model could make it. But this is more like the senior developer. But this is the process. I'm putting you on the track to be a senior developer, and, at some point, at some day. So let's actually write up that query real fast. So select title from movies. We want to join on cast. Ooh, how about that? Where cast ID or cast.actor ID equals 1. If I wanted to, I could also bring in, I'm going to turn multi-line on.
This multi-line working hard.
Yep, this is PGCLI.
What is F3?
Hmm?
What is F3 on the Mac?
F3.
Command Shift 3.
No, there's an actual F3 button.
I don't think I have one.
You have a computer. You have one.
Oh, yeah, I do.
It might be hidden behind some other Mac shortcut, but it's still there. So I'm going to join on actors as well. So you see now I'm starting with movies. Now I'm going to the cast. Now I'm going to the actors table. Because I also want to bring in not only title, but actors dot full name, and why not birthdays as well.
Where did you get the date from?
Query for
Birthday. Yeah, we query for the birthday. So now, let's kind of follow this query. We're starting here, and we're pulling in data that's all the way over here. And all we're doing is just adding on more and more joins. How am I feeling with the many dimension? It's really not too mystical. It's just two one-to-many relationships. And if you keep your middle tables, your join tables, something meaningful, like actually understanding what's going on, it actually simplifies the queries that you want to do. Because even by very nature, our first instinct was to go, well, if I want all the Orlando Bloom movies, I don't actually have to go to Orlando Bloom table. I know his ID already. I can just kind of go here and kind of filter it by this table.
Is there a better way to do that? Start with casts?
It's really 6 one way, half dozen the other. Whichever query makes the most sense to where you are. Because as you start building this next week, so we're going to talk about forms. As I mentioned, we'll just be writing classes and objects to represent this. Inside of those classes, we'll also represent these relationships. So even though we're saying, hey, movies have many casts, That relationship is actually defined as an object has an array on it, or it has a list on it. So I can go, hey, give me movies. Movies also pulls up my cast, so now I have a cast of actors that have all the data for the actor inside it. How am I feeling? So now the last thing I want to talk about is Alan's back.
Sorry.
Is different types of joins.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of joins. Ooh, right? So this is a Venn diagram. Do we know what a Venn diagram is? All right. So we have been doing, by default, a join statement is this. It's actually an inner join. It's give me everything inside of my 2 database tables where they line up. Remember the very first join we ran on movies? It took our movies table from 15 rows and only returned like 3 or 4.
Because we joined it was ratings that we did that,
Yes,
right?
because it was saying, hey, give me all the movies that only have ratings.
Right, okay.
So let's bring that query back up again so we can kind of explore this a little bit. Wherever it is, we're bringing you over here. So select star from movies. Movies join. We want to do ratings. Right? That's not all the movies. Now, if we present this in UI2, users are like, oh, wait a minute. Where's the other Hobbit movies? I really love those. Where are those? Where's all my Hitchhiker's Guide? You know, I really want those. Well, if we want everything regardless of that, we need to do a left join. A left join says, say, give me everything that's inside of A, and if it does have something from B, the other table, append that data. If it doesn't, it's fine. I still want all the data from A. So that's no longer just a join, it would be, of course, a left join. Now we have all of our movies, regardless of what they have. Now you notice that they have nulls, and that could be fine. You know, we can go inside of our React app, hey, if rating, display the rating, else display no rating found, or unrated, or whatever it is for the original edit.
So how do we know that that's the left? And how do we know A? Like, how will we know the relationship A to B?
So A is always the first table.
Okay.
So in the 2 examples that we have of getting the cast, we had 2 queries, right? Mm-hmm. Select star from movies, join on cast, or select star from cast and join on movies.
Cast would be A in the second one, and the first one would be A.
If whatever your from is your A. If you look here, like, hey, select that from table A, whatever A is, and then B is whatever you're joining onto. So A is always what you're querying, B is what you're bringing in.
Is that going to be attached to the home?
Yeah, of course. So really, the most common ones they're going to be using are left joins and inner joins. These 2 are kind of the bread and butter because these 2 are kind of like almost like the natural approach. These ones are where you get fun and kind of interesting. Because like if we flip that and do a right join, so a right join with this instead of a left join, what do we think that's going to do?
So it's going to give us the movies that are rated, and it's going to give us all the ratings.
Correct. Correct. It gives us just movies that are rated. So these 4 movies, plus we have 2 ratings that don't have any movies. We're going to put those at the end of the data set. You see that they have nulls for movies. So this might be a good view for like, hey, here's the ratings. I want to sort by ratings. Or I want to query by ratings. Or give me all my ratings inside of my system. If If we didn't have ratings, like if there's like the NC-17 rating, like that's a rating that I don't think is used much anymore, or at all, or if it's retired, if there's a retired rating that has no movies in the system, we still want to show it, or we still have it. So now we can do some really interesting stuff with and answer fun questions here. Just more tools for consultants. They exist. That's the best way to put it. How are you feeling?
I get it.
So, it is 11:40. Let's talk about the homework. What you're doing for the weekend. So the homework tonight, just like last night, you have where it's going to be create for me a database, and then here's some queries that I want you to write against that database. Of course, there's going to be some tables. I do believe it is actually add a table to the employee database and create a couple relationships there. So it's going to be write some queries that answer these questions. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit bigger than last night, but not much. You notice how that's small and it's still a weekend? Capstone.
Yay.
Capstone. The big push for this weekend is HTML and CSS. Yeah, HTML and CSS is the big push. So actually start coding up the HTML. Don't worry about functionality yet. Just get it to where it looks good. Like that's, remember how you did portfolio for your weekend project and it was only HTML and CSS? Go back to that. Now you can do it inside of a React app, and I actually recommend that. I recommend doing a React app, adding React router, getting each page to be its own component, just to kind of start off. But really, inside of that component, it should just be like very dumb components with a really big render function. So that's kind of the big push. We're kind of starting focusing on that nowadays.
So not portfolios? Caps.
I don't think we had portfolios yet.
So if you have other stuff due from like career support, also work on that.
No, I don't think it's due. I don't think portfolios.
Yeah, I don't know what week you're all on for the career
Just
support.
resumes.
Resumes are due
Tomorrow. And cover letter was
And
Friday.
Yes, because you have mock interviews a week from tomorrow.
That's what I was asking about portfolios.
Yes.
That's
So,
what it does.
Next Friday, field trip to Performa. Right? Great company to work for. Great company to work with. I have nothing good things to say about them. They'll be doing mock interviews. And if it's how they did them for the last cohort, you're going to have 2 interviews. Pleasure times 2. The first one interview is going to be with Brian or Josh. Brian is their CTO. Josh is their lead app manager or something. Lead developer. Pretty much Brian's writing. So you're going to have one technical interview, and you're going to have one non-technical interview with Stan. So that's going to be the format. The rest of the day will just be co-working over there at their innovation lab. So Performa and mock interviews next week. It's awesome. Don't be nervous. I'm not going to, someone says, oh, don't be nervous. Why should I be nervous? Kind of thing. It's mock interviews designed to fail. Like fail here so you get to a real interview. You don't fail. That's always the thing. Do you have any questions about the interviews?
Are they coming here or we go to them?
Field trip means we're going there. So
It's in Tampa, right?
it's on Davis Island.
No way.
No way.
Wow.
It's actually a really good area.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice area. That's where Derek Jeter lives, if anyone knows who that is.
From the Yankees?
He's the captain of the New
We
York
actually-
Yankees for like 20 years.
He's
Actually,
He owns the Miami Marlins now, which is a baseball team. He's a billionaire. He lives.
he's a bit.
It's one of
One of the greatest
Yeah,
side basemen of all time.
Apparently,
Yeah.
for soccer.
Yeah, he's not by that right or by himself.
Yeah.
So he is.
Yeah, I mean, so that's just kind of coming. Just kind of start thinking about that.
What should we have?
I didn't know they had a home here.
What should we what?
Yeah.
Portfolios would be good. Cover letters and resumes are really good as well. And it's really just kind of dress how you would want to dress. It's performance, so act like you're interviewing at performance. That's really what it is. So like go to websites, see what the culture's like. We have some alumni that work there. You can ask them a few things. Kind of see like, hey, I'm mock interviewing for Performa. What should I know about the company? Because have you done the interview prep, career support stuff yet?
Probably tomorrow.
I have. Hoping it's tomorrow. If it's not, then we'll do something like next week. Like we'll take a review at 2 and kind of go at it from a technical perspective. So I gave last cohort like a list of questions that I used to give for interviews. I'm hesitant to share it with y'all before Performa because I also gave it to Performa this time. So I don't want you to like study for the test with the test.
Might as well send it to us for a reference.
So that might be floating by in Slack at some point next week. And it's just like I used to do hiring, so it's like what questions would I ask my junior developers to join my team?
Technical ones.
Oh yeah, technical, if you're not technical. Actually really fun. I actually enjoy it. Probably in the wrong way.
What, try torturing them?
I make them sweat like, oh, describe me how the internet works. Pretend that I know nothing.
I know nothing. Yeah,
Or like,
it's a vast sea.
yeah. Or like if I really want to mess with them, like, hey, pretend I've never seen the color blue. Describe to me the color blue. Without using color.
So it's hex code.
Use saturation of light.
Yeah. Yeah. But
That's cool though.
yeah.
It's abstract. I like it.
Mhm.
0, 0, 2,
Or like-
5.
Or like Bugs Bunny or Mickey Mouse. Which one do you like? And why? Which one would you hire and why?
Oh, that's a different question.
That is a different question.
Very different questions.
Yeah.
One's an answer. Either, right?
I think I interviewed with you coming here. I don't know who did you guys all interview with? Different people.
Jason and Tony.
Martin
Jason
and
and
Tony.
I don't know. I think I actually think I had you. I know I had you.
You had me over.
Okay.
You
Hashes
asked some
now.
interesting questions.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, but this weekend, kind of recentered this weekend, is all about Capstone, HTML, CSS. Also, we now know how to model our data. While you're creating your HTML, CSS, think about what you need to store and what relationships you have. Early next week, you should have a rough ERD at least written down somewhere. So start thinking about that. If you know if it's something like, oh, my site only has one table and that's a table of cities that have these columns, like that's your ERD. That is what it is. If it has a bit more complex, maybe I actually don't. If it's a bit more complex, a couple of tables here and there, you might need to start thinking about that sooner rather than later.
My tables are effectively zero, but
Yep. So, but you still need places to store them. So that being said, actually, honestly, y'all have questions, I'm actually good. I don't.
You want to come to love?
What? I'm actually not going to do love today. So yeah. I think we're good. Review it too, unless people need it. It's not going to happen because it's super similar to yesterday.
I'd like to get you off my
I was gonna say yeah. Today would be a good chance to like.
about data.
like-
That's happening too.
So just kind of think of like timing. Like we have today lab. Tomorrow, lab is kind of restricted. So like if you have any like database questions, any ERD, what should my database look like? Or if you have like a rough drafting is what it should be, kind of thing. You might want to ask that.
I'd just like to continue what we were trying to do yesterday. Now
So, yeah.
that he is out.
Other than that, videos and lab and stuff will be posted.
Do we do Heroku?
What?
Do we learn about Heroku?
Not next week, but the week after that.
That's when things get nicer looking.
What?
Start looking nicer.